Right, so, as you guys know, the Christmas holidays, I didn't post anything for like a solid 2 weeks, and over that time I was preparing for a big video that I was going to be doing when I came back. Obviously, we've had a couple videos that have been more just me talking to the camera. You know, kind of that styly thing. This is going to be more of the same, but how I spent my Christmas break, my 2 weeks off, outside of being drunk and gorging myself on meat and other good Christmas food stuffs. I played a series of very dubious quality games, all with the same kind of theme, all kind of based around like licensed properties of some description or another, and I want to talk about the ones that I played during my break. There's 5 games here, all kind of very bad. All ranging from bad to abysmal, and we're gonna work our way through them, and we're gonna start off with Over the Hedge. I don't hate it. I don't hate Over the Hedge. Anyone remember this movie, by the way? I remember it existing, but I remember nothing from it. Bruce Willis is in it, so that's a thing, but I don't remember any of the rest of the cast. I think the baddie, or the main, like, the big bad of the movie is Nick Nolte, I think. But I honestly, I don't remember anything about the movie. What I remember about the movie is the opening 30 minutes of this game, and then everything else afterwards is completely original, which I have to commend the game for, because most cash grab movie games of this time would just, let's retread the movie, or let's do exactly what the movie did, and have like scenes from the movie as the cutscenes for the game, and that's not what Over the Hedge does. So I have to commend it for that. I have to commend it for the original, for like being an original story that kind of works as a sequel to the film. But I say that as if the story in this is any good. It boils down to the main characters from the movie and some skunk. That I don't remember there being a skunk in the movie, or I don't remember the skunk being a main character. And you play as either one of those two characters. It's basically a Lego game. You play as a pair of one of those 4 characters, and you embark on stealing food from various different households. The climax of the game, as you get closer to the end of the game, it does get more interesting, and there is a somewhat of a climax to the game. And like I said, it's not horrible. It functions. It works as a game, but it does fill that kind of trap of being boring. And I think the main thing about all of these that you have to remember, I played them all in one sitting. I didn't play all of the games back to back in one sitting, but I played all of them. Like I played this during a night. I played the other games during a night. So that may be why I say that this gets very old very quickly, and it does kind of become very tedious, and enemies take forever to kill. None of the bosses are necessarily any good, and yeah, it left me with a sense of nothingness, really, and that's kind of the worst thing a game can do, because it can be extremely bad to the point where it's funny and it's good to take the piss out of it, but then something like Over the Hedge just isn't. It just has no kind of charm, and there's nothing there that really. There's nothing there to really talk about. To be honest, I think the most interesting thing about this game is that it doesn't follow the movie in any way, because there's not enough from the movie to fill a game. So obviously they had to do something new with it, or something different with it, and what they've done is the most generic thing ever. They made a Lego game that that isn't nearly as interesting or fun as any other actual Lego game. And as a theme here, the same can be said for SpongeBob SquarePants, featuring Nicktoons Globs of Doom. Why is SpongeBob named and none of the other characters, and the other characters are just called Nicktoons? Why is the game not just called Nicktoons? Because SpongeBob takes center stage. He's kind of the main character, even though Jimmy Neutron is the one that gets all of the Nicktoons together. And this game is just not good. It's not funny. It doesn't really fulfill any kind of role. It's just another 2-player beat 'em up brawler with levels that are way too long. I timed the first level was 15 minutes. I think every level after that is 30 plus minutes. So for a game that's aimed at toddlers and aimed at, children, or it's basically a baby game for babies, I don't see anyone that's in a target audience for this being able to sit and play something for, or being that interested in a solid level that is 30 minutes long, when there's not that much variety, there's not that much level variety. Half of this game is city levels, and how many times can you look at a city that's grey versus a city that's red versus a city that, that you go into the sewer in, or a city that's underwater? Yeah, how many times can you do that and have it still be fun and it still look interesting? The game just doesn't look or feel, or it doesn't capture any kind of real imagination. It just kind of is garbage, basically. Yeah, there's just not much to talk about here. It's a Lego game that has none of the charm, pizzazz, or anything that any other Lego game has. And even a lot of Lego games that aren't Lego games, that are clearly trying to ape off that, the kind of 2-player couch co-op things that seem to all come out around the same time, and all seem to be licensed themes. Those are usually somewhat fun, or at least they're not. They don't have levels that are abysmally long. So the reason why levels are long is because there's only 12 of them. There's 12 levels, but each level is half an hour long. That took me 6 hours to beat, and I never want to play this game again. Let's talk about Shrek the Third. Because this is one of the weirdest games I think I've ever played. There's no HUD. There's no heads-up display. you can see how much damage you're taking through like the color of the screen, which is weird. There's several playable characters in this game. Shrek, Donkey, Puss in Boots, Fiona, and everyone's favourite Shrek character, Sleeping Beauty. Why? Who decided that was a good idea? The Shrek video game, for like 20% of the Shrek video game to be playing as Sleeping Beauty. What the hell is up with that? Also, there's like a weird mini game in this where the whole aim and stuff is terrible. Obviously, a Wii game, so motion controls as well. And fighting enemies, combat, motion controls. You don't press like the B button or the A button or whatever button. It's just you fight by going like this. And like there's combos, but you have to go like this. And it's just, you're gonna end up doing the same thing over and over again with every character anyways. So, oh yeah, and Arthur's one of the playable characters as well. There's just nothing to this game. It's kind of got a bit of charm because like it's obviously got the sense of humor that a Shrek movie has, but it's based off the worst Shrek movie. So what even is this? There's nothing here. There's no point to it. It's so goddamn bad. It's a God of War game with none of the style. Imagine if God of War was for babies and on the Wii. That's what this is, and it's terrible. Oh, God's sake. Let's talk about the one good game that's on that's here. Ben 10 Protector of Earth. Ben 10's one of my favourite TV shows anyways. So I was going to love this just out of like love of the source material. I've played every Ben 10 game because of course I did. I was that kid that got all of the Ben 10 games and played them all. I had all of the DS ones, all of them on PS2, this on Wii, you know. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. It's not great. There's a thing about, you know, Ben 10 and there only being 5 playable aliens, but you know, for what it is, it's a Ben 10 game that has like most of the favourite aliens in it and Wildvine for some reason, but I like what's here, and it functions as a game. It works. Enemies don't take too long to defeat. Levels aren't too long. There's a decent amount of them, you know. And the only thing is it's on the easy side, which of course it's going to be. It's a Ben 10 game. It's not God of War, but I was pleasantly surprised with how many like options, and the reason why there's so few aliens is because they all have a decent variety of moves and they all like serve a purpose, and because of the length of the game not being that long, having 10 different aliens to turn into, it would have gotten too messed up and too confusing. So you have the shorter roster so that all of them can feel different. And you know, the later games do have more aliens, but I think that's also because they are longer as well. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, Ben 10 Protector of Earth is solid. It's a solid game. I can't knock it. I can't say anything too bad about it, because for what it was at the time, it's a solid licensed game. I remember all the other ones being been better than this, but I think that this for the time is good. The only thing that I will say is that during platforming, it's the Crash Bandicoot thing of there's no like character circle, there's no like shadow under your character until you get to like an inch off the ground. So platforming is a bit of a nuisance with this, but there's so few areas where you have to do any platforming that, you know, it's rarely going to be an inconvenience. And then the next game that I'm going to talk about is Infamous. Everyone and their mum knows that Thor: God of Thunder for the PS3 is one of the worst games ever made. Not only that, but it is an abysmal God of War clone. It's one of the worst, you know, PS3 games. It's the worst of the Sega MCU games, and it's renowned for being a terrible cash grab that's a buggy mess, doesn't work, and is just repetitive beyond knowing. So of course I picked up the Wii version. Is this better than the PS3 version? I've seen so little of the PS3 version that I can't honestly say. But having beaten this, I know that this was a chore, and it's something I'm in no rush to go and play again, because the curse of motion controls mixed with, you know, buttons. So you're doing your combo with B, and then the finisher is swiping with the Wii remote. And there's like flight sections, but the flight sections aren't actually flight sections. They're just a cutscene, and then you'll get to a bit where you're, you know, floating in the air, and you have to strike enemies with lightning. And it's so mundane. Everything about this game is just lifeless. There's no life here. There's something attached to a Marvel property. You know, it should be cool. You know, the Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 2 anyway, which was after this. No, it was way before this. That's incredible. This is garbage. Hot garbage. And I honestly don't know what went wrong. Because Thor, as a character, he's like perfect for a video game. It's perfect for a God of War clone. How can you fuck that up? On every console apart from the DS. How does one fuck that up? I know that like Wii versions of games that come out on like the hardware after it tend to be bad anyway, and tend to be cash grabs, and tend to be like lower budget. But this is so far down the toilet. It doesn't even, like, I wouldn't call this a game. I wouldn't actually go out and say Thor: God of Thunder for the Wii is worth anyone's time. It's not. I paid £2.50 for this, and I feel like I was robbed. I genuinely had no fun with this at all. One of the worst games I've ever played, one of the worst experiences I think I've ever had. And the thing is, there's nothing funny about it either. You can't mock this. It's just boring. That's the worst thing you can ever say about a game. And I played this like a couple days after beating God of War Ragnarok, because I was like, hey, what other games can I get my Norse mythology fix from? So I saw that I owned Thor: God of Thunder, and I was like, I remember that being okay, I wonder if like going back to it, I'll think any differently, especially since I just played. The best way to consume Norse mythology is through the modern God of War duology. That's kind of the best way to consume Norse mythology now, because you could either read a book, read any Thor comic, watch the Thor quadrilogy, which is, okay, not great, amazing, and okay, or you could play this and feel like you want to die by the end of it. So yeah, Thor God of Thunder for the Wii is the worst game I've ever played, I think. There may be worse, but this is the worst game that I've ever beaten. The worst game that I've ever sat through, finished. Because it just doesn't make me feel anything. It just doesn't make me feel like I want to continue. And it made me feel that way after 6 hours. This game is 6 hours long, and I wanted to die at the end of it. I had no reason to continue. I had no real desire to trudge on, but I did, and I finished it. And this is another one that, like, it's not taking off the plot of the movie, because the plot of the movie is Thor gets sent to Asgard and doesn't have his powers for 90% of it. But the game is actually like traveling across the 9 realms and fighting different enemies throughout the realms, and actually fighting Thor villains. Like Surtur shows up in this, Ymir shows up in this, the Mangog is the main villain, and I genuinely, there is a good game in here, and that's what the frustrating thing is. This game, under a different team, now, doing a Thor game now that's this, but like modern technology on a PS4, probably by Platinum, could be insane. It could be so good. But the thing is, this is just so much wasted potential, and you spend so much time on like ice planets or like ice realms, like Asgard, the first level, covered in ice, fighting frost giants. The second level is Jotunheim, covered in ice, fighting frost giants. And then it's only like 3 hours into the game, and then you've only got 3 hours left, where you're actually fighting different enemies, different enemy types. There's just so much about this game that just is not fun. It's also not finished. It's a buggy mess on the Wii as well. Anyways, that's 5 of the worst and weirdest licensed games I own, or that I've played, and that I played recently. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more stuff like this, more kind of the variety content. This is what I wanted to do from the start. This is what I've always wanted to do, and I may go back, and I have a video where I want to go through Devil May Cry 2, but I need to get my streaming stuff set up. My PS4 is broken now, by the way. My PS4 has just decided to conk out, not work. I can't turn it on. I don't know if it's the controller that's the problem, the console, the USB charger thing. I don't know what the problem is. So I've bought a new charger, or charger cable. So I hope that does something, and that I can actually turn on my PS4 so I can get back to streaming soon. But yeah, and also I've got a Devil May Cry thing that I want to do over on Twitch that I may turn into a YouTube series, or I may just only cover Devil May Cry 2, because it's the only one that, I may be able to beat, and it's also the worst one. so I can kind of have some fun with that, because I've been playing a bit of it in my off time, and it's not fun. it's one of those games that I can only justify playing on stream, because it's just, when I heard that Devil May Cry 2 was a bad game, I thought it was one of those things where I'll play it and I'll probably enjoy it, because I get a weird kick out of games that are not very good, or, you know, not the best reviewed. I even get a kick out of licensed games like I talked about today. But no, Devil May Cry 2 is genuinely quite bad. Genuinely very bad. And I wanna make a video about it, because it's genuinely very bad. But I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.